chapter 4 of Growing With. And chapter 4 is called Walls of Support.
That would be the parents.
Yep. And it's the second chapter on withing that repairs and reorients your relationship. So with that, what stood out to you?
What stood out immediately was a paragraph, and it talked about it's talking about your daughter. One of the writers is talking about their daughter needs a wall to swim to. If you think it like that, that we need to be a wall that can withstand their coming and going.
Right.
And they're also talking about this is the time where, they may sass back at you. They may be rejecting you, but you as the wall have to stand steady and not get emotionally...
And not come down to their level.
Yeah, not come down to their level. Oh, you're not talking to me? Well, I'm not going to talk to you.
Yeah,
That was my girls.
Yeah. For me, it was, if you're going to bite me, I'm going to bite you. No, I'm kidding. But one thing that stood out to me was that they talked about when they're newborns, they're very dependent on us. And then as they go through the teenage years, they strive to become more and more independent. But then the ultimate goal is to achieve interdependence. So it says here, independence is the apex of our children, pushing away from our withing wall of support, but it is almost essential liminal state that propels our kids towards a self-confidence and autonomy that enables them to transition to the next stage of interdependence. So it's important to understand, as they're trying to become more independent, on one hand, you just don't want to cut them loose, and just let them be completely independent by the time they're 7th graders. But on the other hand, you don't want to be controlling and not allow them to experience any independence. It's just a matter, every child's different.
And every family's different.
And you just got to know your own child and know where the boundary line is, where you can trust them and give them a little bit more independence as they get older and earn your trust. And sometimes they break your trust, and you got to pull back that independence and start fresh again and rebuild the trust.
Right.
And so that happens.
Yeah, it talks about too that it's tempting for us to turn our backs on our kids when our kids kind of turn their backs on us.
Oh yeah.
Like my girls would be sitting in the back seat of the car and they'd be talking and I'd say, what? And both of them would say almost in unison, we're not talking to you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, then I'm not going to be listening to you either. So
Yeah.
don't be talking to me later.
Exactly. And then this chapter also talked about being understanding of our kids, that today's kids are very stressed out. I think that we as our generation have placed a lot of expectations on our kids, with academics, with sports, with extracurricular activities, where, what I've observed raising my kids is that we're not just letting kids try different things and kind of find out who they are. We're committing them at a young age to be like professional athletes or professional theater people, and we just got to be careful. We got to be careful that we don't want to stress them out so much and put so much expectation on them that it's impossible, that your relationship with them becomes about achieving. It can't be that. It has to be that you love them for who they are, not what they can do, and give them the freedom to make mistakes, to fail, to try some things out and realize that's not who I am, and that's okay. They can try something different.
And kids also see, this chapter also talks about that they also see and notice how stressed out you are.
Yeah.
It says that 1/3 of children surveyed between 8 and 17 believe their parent has been always or often worried or stressed out about things during the past month. That's a big number. 4 in 10 kids report feeling sad when their parents are stressed out and worried. So even though they're rejecting you, they're still listening and watching you all the time. I mean, you're still who they look to as an example of how to handle stress. So.
Right, it says here the kids' number one wish was that their parents would be less stressed and less tired. Doesn't that sound awesome? I would like to be less stressed and less tired. But just remember, they're watching you, and it's not to say that you shouldn't be that in front of them ever, because I think they need to see how you process being tired and stressed. But we don't want to take that out on them. We don't want to be that continuously 100% of the time. But we want to be able to show them how to process stress and how to do that in a healthy way.
Right, and stress is obviously a part of everyday life, and it's totally different now with COVID and being home, and moms teaching their kids and dads teaching their kids, and you're picking up 3 kids at 3 different times, and so we know that it's definitely a stressful time, but just be aware of it is all we're saying.
Yeah.
And it's easier kind of for us to say things too, because we're kind of beyond those high school years now and middle school and grade school years, but we're in the thick of other problems,
Right.
other stress.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of different stresses that families go through, whether it's relationships, whether it's divorce or money issues. Money issues are very big. I know for my family right now, we're going through a time of trying to figure out how to pay for college now that college is over for 3 of them, and that's caused some minor irritation and conflict of like, we got to get a plan, we got to figure this out, we got to set up something, and because we're not paying for it, they're paying for it, and so we got to, but then we're helping out in certain ways, and
Right.
so you got to figure out the money situation and not allow that to become
The biggest
something.
issue.
Yeah, the biggest issue.
The biggest thing you talk about.
Right.
I liked the part that it said when you are apologizing to your teen, that if you've shouted at them or been angry at them and you go back to apologize to them, that you should just apologize. That's it. Just say you're sorry. Don't include, I'm sorry, but
Right.
if you didn't do this or do that, if you didn't
Yeah.
make that mistake, or if you didn't do this, I wouldn't have had to shout.
Yeah.
It's saying something we all know, just apologize.
Right,
No
right.
buts, just say you're sorry, and let it go at that. The book says less words is better.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
something we all know. But
Yeah, totally. And then another thing that stood out to me, it says one primary way that growing with parents tangibly support their children is by helping them slow down and set limits for their schedules and commitments. I know that I've seen kids in the youth group, and I've raised my own, where sometimes you get kids that are overachievers and they want to do it all. They want to do everything. And then all of a sudden you realize they're never home, and they're burned out, stressed out, because they're trying to do everything everyone invites them to. And sometimes as a parent, it takes time to step into their life and say, why don't we look at what you really enjoy doing. I remember with Ben, he felt compelled to really try to be a Boy Scout and achieve his Eagle Scout, but I could tell he wasn't in it. He wasn't invested. It was a burden to him, and so I gave him permission to bow out of Boy Scouts and invest his time and energy in show choir and some of the other things that he enjoyed at school. And the relief that came over him when he realized that I was not putting the pressure on him to achieve everything that he was involved in, but to just, be able to say no to some things and say yes to the things that he really enjoys was okay.
Yeah. My youngest, Savannah, National Honor Society, great ACTs, really smart, really, really great. When it came time for the Link Crew, the application for, it's Loveland High School, it's the team of seniors that go in and help the younger kids, freshmen, right before school starts. Well, what did she write on the application? She said because it would look great on a college resume. And she didn't, no wonder, she didn't get picked. I'm like, well, you can't just do things just to do them.
Right.
And people notice that too.
Yeah.
But anyway, so.
Yeah. And the final thought here is, as our kids grow, we are growing also. There's no such thing as healthy status quo parenting, just as there is no such thing as healthy status quo living. We are ever evolving and ever developing. So there are no perfect parents. We all struggle. It's important that you have a community of people that you can bounce ideas off of or share with one another, cry on each other's shoulders, and celebrate each other's accomplishments as their kids grow up. And but understand, don't put the pressure on yourself to think that that you have to be a perfect parent, because we're all struggling through this, but it's important to have the humility to understand that you're growing with your child and you're learning about yourself, and they're bringing out, you know, things in you to help you learn who you are and what you're all about and make you a better person.
And don't think other families, your neighbor down the street has it all figured out, and just because their Facebook pictures look like they're the perfect sweet family, that's really not what.
Oh, there's
that's
a
not what
Loveland
we see.
stereotype for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Of the perfect family, and you can see some of this through what teens post on Instagram with the perfect life or whatever, and it's just a fallacy. It's not true.
And we say, just wait. Just
Yeah,
wait.
oh, yeah.
You think it's great now? Just wait. Just wait. Middle school, high school, college, young adult. I mean, just wait. Your
yeah.
kids they'll all disappoint you in some way, but they'll also bring you all kinds of great joy
Yeah.
in other ways.
Oh, totally,
So,
totally. So grow with your kids and be
We're
that
growing.
wall of support for them as they drift away and sometimes come back and test their independence. And our goal is ultimately to get them to a place of interdependence where not only are they trusting and relying on you as a friend and as a parent, but they've got all kinds of other adults in their lives that are helping them become a better person. So with that,
with that, we're out.
see you later. Take
Bye.
care.